My name is Elaine Tanimura. I'm with PamTen. Thank you for joining our webinar today. Just a couple of housekeeping things. Everyone is on mute. Your cameras are turned off. Please use the Q&A box if you have any questions, and we'll answer them at the end of the presentation. And we will be recording today's session, and we will post the recording after the event. So today's webinar is brought to you by PamTen and SheTech. PamTen is a global IT staffing and solutions company with offices in Canada, the United States, and India. We offer a broad range of services, including IT staffing, strategic advisory services, custom IT solutions, cybersecurity, and product development. SheTech is a nonprofit in New Jersey whose mission is to increase the number of women in technology jobs. We do this by mentoring, offering trainings, and other programs. If you're interested in either, please check out our websites. And with that, I'd like to introduce you to Sujal Nair. For those of you who have joined these sessions before, you know that Sujal is our lead presenter, and he will be introducing himself and getting started with today's webinar. Sujal?
Thank you, Elaine, and thanks everyone for joining in the afternoon. I know, probably you would already have had your lunches, or else you would be planning after this. So let's get quickly started. So about me, for those who are new here, I carry more than 17 years of work experience into IT industry. I've been part of various Fortune 500 companies and have worked on new age technology, starting from, or rather, if I start from the latest one, that would be on AI, machine learning, and previously I've worked on cloud-based, and all these are cloud-based. So cloud migrations, then products like ServiceNow, BMC, and also integration products like Informatica and Dell Boomi. So kind of, technology landscape wise, I have kind of worked in almost all the areas and have supported almost every vertical that you can probably think of where IT impacts. And with my experience, what I bring onto the table for all of you is to understand how you can make a career progression from where you are and reach where you want to be or where you inspire to be. Okay, so let's quickly get started about today. What we are going to discuss today is around the latest and greatest of development methodologies and how we can have a career around that, right? So I will talk about the career path, usual experts that takes, what are the kind of industry experience that I carry from a perspective, and how I made my way around with application development piece, then how the current job market looks like, what are the technology landscapes, and then what are the key skills that you require and how can you develop yourself into these industries from whichever area you are presently working in. So from a perspective of this current slide that you see, this is more of a job landscape, how the industry is shaping up over the next couple of years. And this is majorly, this data is from a World Economic Forum. So it's a worldwide survey and worldwide information that is available. And the information that you see here is about the top 10 emerging career areas and the ones that are declining. So let's not concentrate much on the declining piece, because again, looking at the positive part is always good compared to looking at what is going wrong. So considering that, the first item that you see is data analyst and scientist, right? So how does that fit in today's environment is basically anything that we pick up in and around our day-to-day activity is somewhere or the other related to data. And when data is coming in today's date, you need a lot of statistical information that is pulled out of data to give recommendation for what you watch, what you wear, what you eat. So everything is through data analysis and data science. Then you have AI and machine learning to just not to give those recommendations, but also to give you support. And just before the call, I was talking to someone around their issues that they were facing with internet. today. And the complaint was, as you call in to customer care, you don't find a human. It's AI and machine learning based tools that gives you step-by-step process. Either it fixes it, or else you again spend another couple of hours waiting for a human. But yes, so those are few things that are coming in line, and they are improving day in, day out with the machine learning piece of it. Then you have the general operations, because again, if you, whatever you do, however you do, you have data, you have AI machine stuff, you still need managers to manage those operations. Then comes in the fourth point, which is software and application development, which is again, spread across all this area, but yes, that is showing up as number 4. And that is a key area that we will discuss today. And once you develop, you build, you have things ready, you need someone to sell it. So that's where your sales and marketing professional comes in. Data sizes are increasing, so big data. Digital transformation specialist is again running length and breadth of all the industries and all the areas that we already discussed in last 6 items. And then new technology specialist is about again something related to what we will discuss in the future slides as we go through. And then organization development, to make sure that all these folks who are joining the organizations are motivated. And then you have information technology services that again runs length and breadth from ITES to software development, supports, and service management perspective. So as we move a deep dive into the next slide, here we talk about what does the North American job market look like by 2028. Right, so year on year, the kind of growth that you can see, and like the numbers currently that you see in terms of the increase is compared to 2018 is huge. Okay, so the web developer counts are increasing year on year. You're getting around 21,000 more jobs created for web developers. Likewise, if you are looking at software developer kind of roles, there you have nearly 300,000 jobs increasing every year. Right. So the top ranking jobs in these areas are related to software development or web development. And if you really look at the top 5 or top 7 jobs, is in and around front-end engineer, that's 1. Then you have Java developers, that is number 2. Data scientist, number 4 is not there because they were not related to software development. Number 5 is DevOps engineer. Then number 6 is data engineer. Again, he or she would be the people who would be connecting all the data together. And then you have number 7, which is a software engineer that runs somewhere or the other in terms of getting other technologies which are not very high on demand, not like something which is Java or maybe Python, but auxiliary softwares or auxiliary platform that you have that needs to be built to support these high-end or higher required development skills. So as we move further, right, the fastest growing technology occupation, and as you already saw in the previous slide, the growth pattern year on year is way high for data engineer. Like, as you say, data engineer, what is the role of a data engineer would be the primary question you might be getting in, because again, quite a few roles here are self-explanatory, but some of them, like data engineer, is something that would need a further explanation, because again, it is like growing 50% year on year, right? So considering that, a data engineer's job is twofold, right? So a person who needs to understand data, that is very important for a data engineer, right? And also to connect multiple data feeds. So if you, I will probably go to an example of cloud like Azure, right? In Azure, if you are getting into a data engineer role, that is more of an expert or a person who would be working on a product like Azure Data Factory, right? And what is Azure Data Factory? It's more like an ETL tool that helps you to move data from one data source to another, and you can build your data structure into it. And it also helps you to build certain level of automation as you bring in data, scheduling data, so those kind of things. So that is one of the key job role that is increasing year on year. And as I said, that anything and everything that is in and around us is about data. So automatically you need to connect this data together, and that's where a data engineer comes in. We have backend developers who are the ones who would be maintaining the frameworks and managing the development that is not front-ending, like which it does not interact with the user experience from a front-end perspective. Then you have data scientists, CRM developers. CRM is, again, it's been a term that has been in and around in the industry for a very long time. So some of the old CRMs that you would remember is like PeopleSoft, then SAP. So they are all kind of a CRM come ERP solutions. Plus, in today's date, if you look at Azure, you have Microsoft Dynamics, you have ServiceNow. These are all some way or the other kind of CRM that manages customer. Then you have user interface developers. That is, again, the front end developer is what like kind of, because these are the folks who would be designing and developing the interface that you play around with, maybe your mobile phone, a website, or a CRM, whatsoever it is. These are the folks who would be developing those interactive screens or interaction points for you. Python developer, I think most of you know, whoever is in the IT industry, Python is something that you have been hearing for the last 4 or 5 years continuously, and the noise of Python is just increasing day in, day out. Android developer, as it says, it's for development of Android applications. DevOps engineer is more of the latest, and again, you have been hearing about it for the last 3 or 4 years a lot. As it says, development on operations running together. So this is a process-based engineering solution or engineering technology that helps you fasten the process, and it's continuous development and continuous testing that helps you reduce your overall time to deploy any kind of solution. So that's where DevOps is something that most of the organizations choose these days to be more agile and dynamic. Front-end developer is purely people who do the front-end development part of it, and then cloud architects are the ones who design and structure the cloud architecture, cloud security systems, and cloud integration piece of it. So these are the high-level or the major jobs that are growing today in the market. And out of this, if you really look at, most of them are developer roles, and that what triggered this discussion point for today's webinar, like how the app development part is going to play around. So in terms of app development, if you look at it, these are a few of the technologies that are majorly used in the industry, right? And the percentages that you see is the kind of, the volume of businesses that are using these technologies in some way, shape, or form. Okay, so from a scripting perspective, most of the people have started using JavaScript, because these are only specifically for scripting. Okay, because there are a lot of technology areas that in today's date also we use codes, or we are using scripting, right? So JavaScript, and then HTML, SQL, these are like have been there for a while, but yes, something that is picking up is Python. Shell programming has been around from those good old days of Unix, so it's nothing new to talk about. TypeScript is something that's again, coming again, like it goes in and out, because there are quite a few old technologies around TypeScript. And then PHP and C++ is something that has been there for a while, or like a very long time. C++, I think most of us would have heard almost from, even before I started my career 17 years ago, I have heard of it, and it had been there since then, playing around or being there with .NET and stuff. And PHP is more used today's date for the web portion of it, though HTML5 and those areas are there, but there are a lot of tools that still use PHP. And again, there are certain limitations with PHP, but still it is one of the most preferred web development tools. So as we talk about all this, how do we fit in, or what, as a person, what are the skills that we need to scale ourselves to any of those buzzword technologies that I've been talking about so far, is the question that we would get, right? So here, if you look at these 6 areas, is something that we need to have skill from. It's more like a soft skill perspective, but these are the key areas that we need to concentrate on as we try to become, or if we are a developer, we want to grow as a developer, these are few areas that we have to look at. One is problem solving. So any of the use case or any of the issue that you find in your day-to-day life, or in your development life or your normal life, right? You have to have that skill of solving that particular problem. So identifying a problem is another area, but solving the problem is more important. So if your customer is coming up, like from a developer perspective, a customer is coming up with an issue, like something is not usually working or something usually fails on regular basis. So you got to identify what the problem is first, and then comes in the next step of solving that particular problem. So problem solving is a very key skill. And if you look at most of the jobs that you look for, anywhere any of the website job sites you look at, these are few of those skills that everybody looks for. So problem solving, irrespective of developer, any area you need it, but yes, for a developer, definitely that's one of the key skill that you require. The second point is attention to detail. As you're doing scripting, as you're doing running automations, as you get integrations done. So attention to detail is another very important point, because if you are not detail oriented, while you're solving the problem, you would not be looking at the length and breadth of the entire thing. So you might be solving one problem as a developer that is a usual, like a fresh developer tends to miss those things out at times. With my experience that I've seen, is basically like, you are given a problem, you have ability to solve it, you build a solution for that particular problem. But if you are not detail oriented, one problem could solve, but it could break another couple of items. And I'm sure that you would have heard multiple times that there are people in your family or your people whom they are sitting on a Sev 1, Sev 2 issue because there was something that went wrong. So a holistic view and attention to detail is very important being a developer. Clear on communication is a vital part that you need for any of the jobs that you go for. But yes, when you're a developer, if you are not clear with communication, not just what you tell people or what you commit to, also what you listen, because you have to be a really good listener when you're a developer. If you cannot listen well, you will not understand the problem. The product or the solution that you develop might not be meeting the requirement, or you might be not exceeding, but you might be overdoing certain things, which might impact the overall operations. So clear communication is very important as we try to become a developer. Continual learning, as you see that there are hundreds and thousands of platforms, tools, languages for a developer. So continual learning is very important. So today, probably if you start, or rather, like let's say 10, 20 years ago, people started with COBOL and C. These were the languages that they were actually learning. But today's date, you don't actually, or Pascal. And today's date, nobody hears those words also. Why? Because things have changed. The dynamics have changed, the tools have changed, the framework and the requirement have drastically changed. So today people talk about Python, people talk about JavaScript. So as the technologies landscape changes, you have to be open to learn new technologies, and it has to be a continual process. Good old days, we were working on-prem based softwares or solutions. Today, we have most of it on cloud. So the demography is changing, the approaches are changing, and those days, like if you're building an optimized app, it might be a 4 MB, 5 MB, or a 100 MB product. Today's date, we are talking about gigs of data. An app itself could be like, Office or something. If you pick up, it used to be some time ago that it was like a 300 to 600 MB. It used to come in a CD. In today's date, an Office package would never be available in a CD. You need a DVD, right? So that's how the landscape is changing. That's how the data size, the features, the requirements are changing. So you have to be open to learn new technology, skill yourself regularly so that you stay relevant for the market. Teamwork, that is something that is needed in any kind of job, but yes, here also it's necessary because as you are become a developer, you have 3 different modules that are being built by 3 different team members. So if you're not good with collaboration, the integration of 3 different modules would be hampered. The business is what gets hampered. So teamwork is very important. The sixth part is empathize with end user. So that is more of completely soft skill, wherein how you react to your customer's need, customer's problem, and what is the kind of responses that you give, so that you make them feel good. It's not that like, I'm not talking about like making them feel good in a very different way, but it's about like, if they are having an issue that is hampering their day-to-day life or their day-to-day business, so just make them feel good, how you can fix their problem and reinstate on building the confidence. So that's what we refer by emphasizing with the end user. Okay. Now, as we go further, because the next question or the major question everybody would have is, okay, I learned these technologies. What's in it for me? Like, how do I grow up in the career, right? I have been doing XYZ. I was considering myself to be successful. Over time, I see that, I'm not seeing a growth. But in this industry, or if I get into software development, what is the kind of growth path that I see? So usually, if you are joining from just out of college, or even without any experience in the software industry, and I will just give you a story that I read this morning on LinkedIn. It's about a lady who always wanted to be a software engineer but could not, and then she got married early, and then she had her own challenges, and then over time, like in few years, a couple of years ago, she decided that okay, she will go ahead with some of these online training services, or and then she will learn software engineering. So she went through those trainings for around 1.5 years, and today, like couple of weeks ago, she got her first job as a trainee software engineer or a junior developer. Okay, so that's what it's all about. So perseverance, it does matter, and as we grow or as we learn these technologies, junior development would be one of the areas wherein your trainee software engineer, then junior software engineer, all these roles get into the junior development area. Then the second one comes in as a senior developer, wherein you could be someone with 2 to 3 years of software engineering experience, or even more, like 4 to 6 years is what a senior developer is usually. Then you have a lead developer who would be leading these kind of practices, and or rather reaching out to those individual contributor based senior developers and junior developers whenever they get stuck. So these lead developers are the ones who would be supporting them and also doing a certain level of coding. Then you have these architects, which could be a solution architect, technical architect, who design the overall structure, who design the approach of development, who design how the software should be functioning, how the communication pipeline should function. So these are the ones, the bottom 4 blocks are majorly the individual contributor roles that you have in the app development side in the career path perspective. The next tier is more of managers and directors. Okay, so you have a developer manager, you have a product manager, and you have a project manager. And likewise, these can be also directors, because usually managers report to directors. That could be a development director, and rather all 3 of them usually report to a development director or a practice director kind of a role. So a developer manager is more of a person who would be managing these developers. Product manager is completely different, okay, because product manager owns the product. Okay, his or her responsibility is more around helping the organization build the product roadmap, helping the marketing sales team to derive what or how these the development of new features can impact the customers, and give the feeds to these support teams to help sell those products. So that's the kind of role product manager gets into. They fit into the area where they design the product roadmaps and those kind of things. And project manager is more of a project based role, whose major responsibility is to manage timeline, manage resources, manage customer expectation, and manage cost. Then you have senior leadership. So as I said, you would have the director roles, and they roll up to the VPs, CTOs, and CEOs. A product company CEO would be more of a developer-based guy. A CTO in any organization would have had spent a good amount of time into the development. And VP is, again, someone who, if he is a product VP or if he is a development VP, he definitely needs to know how the functions work so that they don't overcome it at times when it comes to customer commitment. So this is the key career path that you can choose for. And again, all of this is based on experience. So the first one is about 0 to 2 years. Senior developer can be anywhere between 2 to 6. Leads are like 5 to 8 years, and architects are above. And the manager roles are definitely needs an 8 years plus experience, but it depends on what you want to be, because there are quite a few folks who prefer to stay as individual contributor. They stick on to the lead and architect role for a longer time, wherein the managers are those who want to lead a team and they want to digress from the core individual contributor role of coding to do more of business decisions and those kind of roles. So that's where the manager and director roles comes into picture. So now, as we talk about the app development or next generation app development, what are the features, or I would say more of what are the advantages that we get from these technologies that we have been talking about in the earlier slides. So first and foremost thing is about the progressive and scalable part of it. So most of these technologies are easy upgradable, and the chances of them to get obsolete is very slim, at least for next 5 to 10 years. The chances of them to get obsolete is very slim. Scalability is a very important thing, because most of these are hosted on cloud. So as we do the web-based app, or rather most of the apps today are web-based. Like if you pick up anything, right? There were times wherein, I'm not sure if you guys would have heard of this product called BMC Remedy. It was more of a thick client-based application. But today's date, it is more of a cloud application, which is web-based. You don't need to install Remedy anymore. But up till Remedy 8.1, it used to be like you have to install the package on your desktop to work on it. But today it's just a web link. And that's how the scalability, licensing, and all that becomes easier. Because if you are using a web-based tool, the licensing is easy. You can have floating licenses. If somebody is logged in, then only the license is getting used. Otherwise, most of the cases you have floating licenses. You don't have named licensing that plays around. Scalability again comes into picture because it's cloud-based. So today, if you have 100 users, fine. But if you start seeing an issue and you have set up rules that, if the CPU usage is going beyond 80%, your RAM utilization is more than 50%, it should scale up. It automatically starts scaling up. And then from 100 to 200, 200 to 1,000, you don't have much of a work to do apart from just maintaining it or maintaining those scripts in the backend, so that is monitoring the environment. So the scalability is very well. Load time, as you know, websites are easier to load, and likewise, as we do the web development or web-based applications, the load time is better. It's economical as it's hosted on cloud. The amount you spend on hosting it, amount you spend on maintaining it is less. Upgrades are easier, so you don't need to be really worried about if the technology landscape is changing, how much of a impact it would make and what is the financial impact. So economically, it's more pocket friendly. It's more responsive, because again, as it is cloud-based and it is scalable, response is never a challenge, because it's not just coming out of one box, it is coming out of a cloud, right? So it's scalable. It has, whenever it needs a certain amount of resource, it is available at its disposal. It's more secured. Yes, because today the major key in and around the industry is security. So anything that you go, anywhere you go, the first question that is asked is, okay, how secure is my data? Because there are hundreds and thousands of information, users using it. There are thousands of people connecting it from public and, various kind of networks, public network or private network, or maybe, VPNs that we use today. So whether it is secured, that is a very big question. And these web apps are way more secured. in compared to anything else, like even the applications like that we use for banking or maybe our telephone management. All those applications are web-based and they are secured. Otherwise, we would not be using that to transfer money and stuff, or we would not be logging in. And linkable, that's a word that I use because it's more of integration. Okay, so it can get linked anywhere that you want. So the first and foremost thing about most of these application development that we do is that they are computer friendly. They are any kind of web friendly, like tablets or computer or any kind of browser that you use. And again, most of these apps, like nearly if you pick up 100, nearly 80% of the apps are available in the form of mobile applications or tablet based application. So that is one area of linkage. The second area is more of two different applications talking to each other. So today, if you say that, okay, I'm using SAP and I have ADP, that is my payroll partner. Can I link it? Yes, you can. So SAP Cloud connects to ADP Cloud, and that's it. Your attendance, your leave, everything is updated. Your overall work is done. There is no manual intervention, so no error. Chances of error are less than chances of error is less than 0.10001%. And your salary credits as soon as you update your leaves and your attendance. So that's one area of connection. Likewise, if you look at Facebook connecting to, say, any of the shopping site, right? So how do you sign into various shopping sites? You go to the shopping site, you get Google, you get LinkedIn, you get Microsoft. So these are all integrations. So sign-in integrations that you have available. So that's how things have grown. So today's date, if you don't have you don't need to type in all your information when you are going onto a website. You click on it, it picks up your email address, you set your password, or you don't even set your password. It takes the password on the basis of the handshake it is doing with your social media account, and you're inside. You just need to update your payment, and you can order anything and everything that you want. Okay, so that's about the integration and the linkability of these applications. Now, usually, these are the few questions that is prominent that I usually get. First one is, what are the new innovation in the industry? So now if you really look at the innovation from a perspective of app development, it might sound alarming, but yes, it exists. So that is low code application. So if you look at people coding or people talking about we have to do scripting, we have to do coding, that's definitely there, and that market is very high. But there are platforms today for those people who are from a completely different industry, who have not been doing any kind of coding. For them, these innovations are helpful. These are more graphic based development. So you can there are two types of graphic based development that is available today. One is low code, when you don't need to do any kind of coding. It's just that you just drag and drop, you create arrows for communication, and boom, you're ready to go. So that is low code, where there's a very limited amount of coding. Apart from few XML files and stuff, you don't need to do any other coding. The second one, or any exceptions needs to be added, that is usually done by coding. The second one is the one wherein you have conversational development. So here there are a couple of tools that helps you with conversational one. So you want to have you want to set up a rule, or you want to develop a product, or not a product but an application. You can use those platforms, and then you can start typing standard conversation. So if you click here, it should open XYZ box. So you just click on that, you start typing, and then you give a link. You click there, it creates that particular box will open, or particular website will open. So that level of conversational coding, not coding, conversational development is coming into picture. So that is for people who are not development experts, or they have got any experience on development, but they want to build something for their own businesses. Then the other one is about positive effect of new app technology on content management. So definitely, as we said, talk about points like data, right? Like everything and anything that we pick today is about data. And as we talk, and we recently had, a lot of news around data breaches and all those happening. So data is a very key item, right? And the impact of these application development is this data is getting more and more secure. There are more and more security features that are coming into the development area, and that way whatever content that comes in, starting from like a Netflix, like you are watching something on Netflix, you cannot or you can download and play it in Netflix, but you cannot actually use it elsewhere, right? So likewise, if you're using music on Spotify, or if you're using playing music from Apple Music Store, you can't download it. You can download it and play it in Apple's music application or Spotify, but you cannot just move that somewhere else and then start playing. So from content management perspective, that level of security or digital right management and all that is coming into picture. Even there are certain documents, like if you are reading a certain document, if you have bought a book from, say, an XYZ application, you cannot actually open it in any different application. You have to continue using that. Okay, so that's how it is. So this way, it also impacts the third point, that all these apps, they help you monetize better. So if you're using Amazon Kindle, it's not a PDF, it's a Kindle application supported file, and you cannot open elsewhere. So it helps Amazon Kindle to make more money. So if you release a book on Kindle, or if you have something available or someone bought it, you cannot just start copying and selling it off in the gray market and make more money. So that level of monetization security is coming in. A non-technical person to switch, as I said, we already have low code or no code kind of a structure or conversational development. So anyone who is non-technical can concentrate on those areas. Okay, is it easy or tough to switch? So nothing is usually easy, right? So if you have the perseverance, if you have the interest in doing certain things, it's easy to switch. Otherwise, like if you're someone to wake up in the morning, you have somebody has to push you out of the bed, then definitely it's a tough one to do. Okay, so that's how it is. And which industry is being impacted with this? Every industry. So if you name any industry, starting from travels to healthcare to manufacturing to retail, any industry that you pick, every industry has the same kind of impact with this new technologies. So as we progress, and as another intent of this entire webinar is about engaging and also communicating, like how do PamTen comes into picture and how we help you out. So here we talk about choosing the right technology. So if you had the previous questions, and if you have more questions, on the basis of that, you ask the right questions, take the right decision on what technology you should go for. Now, once you know that, okay, I am going to learn Python, or I'm going to learn data science, great. Now, which industry is something that would be helpful for you? You can look at it from two perspectives. One is your interest area, and the second one is from a perspective of how the industry trends are. So on the basis of that, you can acquire the skill, get ready for the industry, because if you have the right data set, have the right information of the use cases that the industry uses, so you get into the right understanding, and as you do that, you get to be the job, you get job ready. So once you're job ready, it's just about clearing the interviews, because for that, now step number 3 is vital, because you need to be industry ready. So knowing the data that for the industry that you're targeting is very important. So if you want to be a software developer in a banking sector, you need to know how banks function, right? And if you want to be a software developer who would be working on a social media application, then you need to know how, as a how does the social media applications or the industry work? What are the areas that they impact? Not just about security, identity theft, but also about how the retail industry is impacted through social media. How is the car or how automobile industry is impacted? How is banking industry impacted through social media? So those kind of relationships also has to be something that you have to start understanding to get into a specific line of business. Now, as from my personal experience that I talk about is 4 areas that we have to concentrate before we take the first decision of which tool to go for. One is research. It should have demand. It should have enough jobs available, and it should be something that is scalable to the next level, right? Then do the demand analysis. Understand what are the core skills required, right? Like if you want to learn Python, there are, before you learn Python, there are some basic information or basic skills that you need. So what are the core skills required? And then what is the overall curriculum, how long it is? And on the basis of that, you can have your plan of action. So if you think that, okay, in next 3 months, I need to switch a job, or in next 3 months, I'm graduating, I need to get a job. So what do I have something that I can finish in next 3 months, or I need to wait for 6 months? So you have to plan on the basis of the curriculum that is available in any of the sources that you choose. Okay, so usually, like if you look at from a perspective of content availability, Google and YouTube is the free source wherein you can get almost everything. But yes, the key is there is no cost, and it's very generic what you get. Then you have definitely it's technology-based training, but yes, it is generic. The second one is paid one, which is something like Udemy, Coursera, and LinkedIn subscriptions. Here also, the point is you get technology training, you get use case-based training because there are a lot of workbooks and exercises that you have to do. But does it really add value? Because again, you need to be industry or job ready, right? So with PamTen, how we make a difference is basically our skill development program not just takes care of your generic learning or technology training or the use case, but we make sure that we provide you with industry ready use cases, data sets, and then as in the beginning we said we are also a staffing company. We also look at getting the project, real-time projects for delivery. So if like definitely you have to once you're industry ready, you have to clear your interviews. But yes, those project deliveries and all that also comes into picture. So you just don't get the incubator based training, but you also get the real life training that you should have, or real life experience that you should have for projects. Okay, so that's the overall points that I had, and now I open for question and answer, right? So if you have any questions, you can go ahead and shoot.
There's one question in the Q&A box, Sujal, from Anne.
Mm-hmm.
Asking, where does the software tester fall in this career path?
Okay. Yeah. So software tester, again, software testing is part of it, okay, because we cannot say that software testing is completely different, though the technologies or the tools that you use is different, but this go very in line together. But yes, it's more of a developer, or a testing engineer, senior testing engineer, but yes, and lead engineer, but it would not be for an architect, but they can move up to the next level of management role. So that's how the career progression happens for a testing area.
Okay. Does anyone else on the call have any questions for Sujal? While we're waiting to see if someone else has a question. Oops. Looks like. What is the training period for app developers?
So it depends on the technology that we choose, but yes, if you're just talking about just the training piece, it can range, because again, from technology to technology it changes, and what is your level of knowledge, that also matters. But it can range anywhere between a 4-week program to up to a 16-week program. Because
Okay.
again, it depends on where you want to reach. Because if you just need a basic, it's 4-week. But if you want to have the knowledge up to an intermediate advanced level, you need to spare around 16 weeks time.
Okay, good question. Anyone else have any questions?
Okay, so the next question I get is, if you don't have a software engineering degree, and would certification add value? Yes. So, and to answer your point, I am a live example for that. I don't have a software engineering degree, but I have made a career in IT, in Fortune 500s. I have done almost everything around length and breadth of software engineering, product management, product development, and I have a degree in accounting and finance. So I think that answers your question. And certifications does matter, because I have done recently, I have done my Azure Solution Architect certification. So it is important to have certificates to back up your knowledge at times. If you are not having say 10, at times people ask for 8 to 9 years of experience for certain things, but yes, if you have an architect level certification, you can skip the line and get into a architect role faster. So certification does matter. So that was a really good question, because yes, as one of the points I made is, for any of these industries, do you need to really be skilled from an engineering perspective? No. So that is a myth, that if you need to be a software engineer, you need to learn computer science. If you have the ability to understand problem, and if you have the ability to solve a problem, you are a good fit. The only thing is you have to put some effort in learning the coding, or as of today, no code or conversational development.
Okay, great. Anyone else have any questions for Sujal?
Okay, so this is how to prepare for certification if you want to crack it yourself without help of any tutor. Okay, so that is again, cracking a, see, it's never about getting certified, because again, you learn a lot of things. You might answer 10 questions and you get your certificate. Certificate is just an entry point, or probably, as I said, it can help you skip the line or the queue. But as you get the job, a certification is not something that will help you on day in, day out basis. Certification can help you for an interview. It can help you to get through something. But after that, for your regular stuff, you need to make sure that you know the business, right? So cracking I would never say that, go for learning something or going for a certification with an intent to crack it. It's always good to learn first, and then try to see if without the certification, if you can get a job opportunity. If you get that, great. If not, then go for the certification. Okay. Now, to answer the specifics that you have asked, how to crack it. To crack it, I think, Google would be the best response that it can give, that it will give you hundreds of dumps, and you can download those dumps and learn it and be ready for your question and answer for XYZ date. But does that help you after you get a job? That is more important. I hope that answers the question. I know it was not very positive, but that's the truth.
Okay. All right, Sujal, it seems like we are out of questions for today. So again, just want to thank everyone for joining today's webinar. We will be sending out the recording, posting it. And just wanted to let you know that our final webinar in our career series will be on Tuesday, September 7th, and it's going to be about careers in cybersecurity. So we'll be having, along with Sujal, we'll be having one of our PamTen, or vice president of our cybersecurity practice, as part of this webinar. So we hope you tune in for that. So if there's no other questions or comments for today, we'll end today's session. Thanks again, everyone, for joining, and have a nice afternoon.
Thanks, everyone.